I'd like to say hello and welcome to my textual analysis on Rob Shui's Eulogy for Things Left Unsaid. The main objective in doing this textual analysis is so I can further my understanding of short film, making ManFlick's next working title, ManFlick 3, a better production. The reason I've chosen this film is because I feel it's very open to interpretation from the viewer, but before I get into it, I'll let you watch the film in its entirety. So here it is, Eulogy for Things Left Unsaid.
Memories. Memories blur into dreams. Light bleeds into truth. Everything unforgiven. Everything becoming hollow. Loneliness consumes. And there is no way back. The places you played. The places you called home. The people you thought you loved. All of them reduced to a memory of another life. Life you never lived. All the yesterdays that can't form a tomorrow. All the tomorrows that never came from yesterday. A new beginning. Because forever is never forever.
Rob Shui is a London-based independent filmmaker who specialises in making short films for companies such as the BBC, Channel 4, Nokia and EMI, as well as producing his own short films which have often been screened at film festivals around the world. I found the film on the BBC Network, a website dedicated to promoting independent filmmakers in the UK. The film itself was made up for the 120 Film Festival, an American film festival celebrating the efforts of 20 directors producing 120-second films on a given subject. The film itself is based on personal experiences and feelings that he was having around the time of his life and is meant to reflect a period of change that he was going through. One of the most important features people look for in films is a good narrative, but Eulogy does not have a clear narrative thread. It is instead a collection of images of nature being narrated by a voiceover. We see images of a little boy running through the field, but apart from that there is no clear storyline. With no narrative to drive the story, I feel the main attraction in this piece lies in the narration. Ironically, the visuals act as more of an accompaniment to what is being said, as opposed to the primary focus of the piece. It is there to evoke the emotions that are being put across, whilst the narrator puts forward the main encoded messages within the piece. Another effect this has had on the piece is that it would seem more emphasis has been put into the shots themselves, especially composition and symbolic imagery. You will notice that many of the shots have a very low depth of field. This gives the piece a dreamy and relaxed feel to it, which is much more fitting for the narration. This is enhanced by the slight vignette used for artistic effect, drawing the viewer towards the centre of the frame and making them focus on the natural images used here. The slow motion emphasises the lack of inhibition experienced by this child in this environment. This fits in with the idea of reverting to a childlike state, to a time in our lives when we have no regrets and no anxieties about facing the future. In terms of ideology, again I feel that it's very open to interpretation. The whole piece is a contemplative snapshot of loss and regret. The use of symbolic imagery in the piece helps to connote this. Take for example the empty barren field. It could very easily be interpreted in two different ways: emptiness or a feeling of loneliness, hence the line, "loneliness consumes" in the narration. But it could also be interpreted as a blank canvas, a fresh new land in which new plants can grow, can start again, a very optimistic outlook as said in the final lines of the narration.
Because forever is never forever.
I think the use of a child is there to connote innocence, to help the audience think back to younger, simpler days. As I said earlier, childhood is a time in our lives when we have no regrets and no anxieties about facing the future. Children perfectly epitomise the naivety and nonchalant lives that perhaps adults secretly wish for. Pretty much all of the shots in this piece are of nature, which has massive symbolic importance. Nature has always been associated with life, nurturing, forgiveness and peace. It's fairly obvious how nature ties in with the main theme of loss and regret. Nature is symbiotic with rebirth, a second chance. Soundtrack was written by Olafur Arnalds, an Icelandic composer, and is in itself a very important part of the film. The music in this piece can certainly be described as emotional. Non-diegetic music is there to increase tension and heighten emotions, and in a film like this, it plays a large part in the mood of Eulogy. The delicate piano motif has been designed to be uplifting and aspirational, yet convey a sense of poignancy, a perfect accompaniment considering the themes seen in Eulogy. Eulogy for Things Unsaid is in theory quite simple, a montage of natural images accompanied by a soundtrack and voiceover, but in practice it makes for a very emotional, touching, and some might say inspirational piece of work. It's a perfect example of how narrative is not the sole driving factor in a film. Thank you.